What's up, everybody? Happy weekend to all out there that's enjoying their weekend. Hopefully you guys are. Hopefully. So anyways, I'm putting this video, well, I'm not putting a video together. I am doing this video because a topic that's pretty much had some time to kind of stir around and out there for you guys. You guys are probably well aware of it, and I just kind of want to elaborate a little bit on this this topic going on with Sprint subsidiaries or Sprint prepaid, and kind of why they're going into these moves. The idea came from when I typed up this little blog on Tumblr, and I was like, hey, I should turn this into a video. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm turning my blog into a video. So, without rambling on too much about that, we're going to talk a little bit about Boost Mobile and the no taxes and fees. Because this was what the clock countdown was for. I know a couple of people actually hit me up and was talking to me about it on Snapchat and was like, you know, they're thinking that this is what it's going to be. Turns out that's what it is. And why did why did Boost Mobile do this? Like, why did they now include taxes and fees with their plan? So technically, it's a flat rate plan, $50 if you're on a single line, and then whatever it is, add additional lines of the family plan would be a flat rate, no taxes and fees. This was a much needed thing to happen. Let's just throw it out there. Because one of the things that I can say that Boost Mobile had a high churn rate for was just people that were looking into their plan, what they paid per month. Everyone is trying to save money. Everything today costs quite a bit. If you're a person who smokes cigarettes, you probably know this because packs of cigarettes when I was a kid was like $2.50 a pack or less. Now they're like clearly $10. I mean, that just tells you how much things have gone up in time. A gallon of milk in Hawaii is like $7, $8, almost $10 for it. There's everything out there has gone up in price. So everyone is looking to save money. And while the smartphone is the extension of the human body because we rely on it for everything, we need good data service plans that are cheap. And if you may have noticed in the last year and a half, everything has gone to unlimited. So no more pick and choose unless you're someone who really doesn't use a lot of data, so you don't want to spend high amounts on a bill. Then you can select plans that have a limited amount of high-speed data. But generally, everyone's looking for unlimited. And when you have T-Mobile, who goes out and does their Un-carrier moves, and they start to tell you that right now your plans are going to be a flat rate. Taxes and fees are included. Everyone sees that and sees savings in that, and they're like, gosh, I want to jump over to T-Mobile. I need to have that. And then T-Mobile introduces that into their prepaid subsidiaries like Metro PCS, and now Metro PCS, no taxes and fees. And I believe Cricket does it, and other carriers following suit. The last one to ever even do anything like that is, of course, Boost Mobile is the last to do it because Sprint still charges taxes and surcharges on your bills and whatnot. So Boost big unveiling for no taxes and fees. That was a much needed move for Boost Mobile to turn around or to like pretty much narrow in the floodgates of the churning out customers. It's just, when you kind of think about it, no taxes and fees. You can literally say that when your price plan is $50 flat. But let's get one thing clear, and this is something that is the truth when it comes to T-Mobile, Metro PCS, Cricket, and now Boost Mobile. Taxes and fees are still there. It's just they're included in the plan. So if you kind of think about it, because everyone knows that in the state you live in, the taxes vary from state to state. Some states have a different percentage. So what does that initially mean? Well, it's still $50. It's just like, say, in one state, the taxes would to make the bill $50. Let's say it was like $5, right? And in another state, say the taxes was $10. Well, then technically, if you take $5 out of one and just charge the person before taxes, they'd be paying $45. In the other state where taxes is $10, they're paying $40. So yes, technically, if you were to kind of break it down, it is a little bit unfair because some states you're paying more for unlimited than you are in other states. But the main reason why people don't really look into that is because it's a flat rate billing. So because the taxes and fees are already included, it's $50. No matter what state you're in, it's $50. And people like that. People, they don't want to deal with taxes and surcharges. Believe me, I know. I deal with customers who hate that stuff every day. And that's what they don't want to deal with. And so I'm like really excited that Boost Mobile actually is doing this, because there are people who left Boost Mobile just based on that very reason. Just the fact that it had taxes and fees, and that were initially charged on top of the $50 plan. And so even though the services was good for them, they would try out Metro PCS, and if Metro PCS was as good as Boost Mobile has been for them, then there lies the difference. One has taxes, the other one doesn't. Well, I can save $3 or $4 or even $8, depending on how much taxes you were getting, going to Metro PCS and switching and going to them. Because what do we know about Metro PCS and why they have always been, since being taken over by T-Mobile, why they have been a greater threat to Boost Mobile than before is, one, they're under a company that makes these Un-carrier moves and is changing the way that how mobile service providers are, what they're giving to consumers, and on top of that, they have more phone selections. So now really the argument point between Boost Mobile and Metro PCS is no longer the taxes and fees are involved. Now it's more of a, well, who has the more tempting phones, the phones that tempts you to want to go. And Metro has more of that because Boost Mobile very rarely gets devices as much as Metro PCS does. The latest device to come to Boost Mobile is the ZTE Tempo X, which is not even really that much of a phone that I would even tell anyone to really brag about because of its specs that it has. Pretty much is a phone that's spec'd from like 3.5, 4 years ago. So, great little, low-end device, but nothing that's going to turn heads. So, one of the things that came to mind when I started thinking all this up is that Sprint did mention that 2017 was going to be the year of its prepaids. They were going to focus on their prepaids, and they were going to do some real bold moves. And Boost Mobile doing the no taxes and fees, that's a big thumbs up because Boost Mobile has brand recognition compared to its sister company Virgin Mobile. Now, we know what Virgin Mobile is, and a lot of you guys have been talking about it on Twitter. I've been reading tweets about it, that some people are just a little bit upset that Virgin is shifting to being a company that pretty much sells iPhones and is just centered around, iPhones is centered around it. And with the Inner Circle program, that's something that, those people who are fans of iPhones and are only just rooted into the Apple ecosystem are going to appreciate Virgin Mobile as a prepaid company. And why? Because it has the same coverage as Boost Mobile does. It pretty much runs off the Sprint network, but it is doing deals with Apple. So it's doing deals to give you guys the iPhone. Like, one of the things that, I definitely was vocal about in a video was how Virgin Mobile shifted and is going this route, and was like, if you buy an iPhone at full price, so if you buy an iPhone at $798, and you pay $1 for a whole year service, and that was it. So you're basically paying $799 for the iPhone, which was actually its suggested retail price. So you were literally just buying an iPhone and getting a whole year of free service on Virgin Mobile. And then after that, you would be billed the regular rate, whether I think it was like $50 or something like that, or $45, one of the two. But to those who are rooted in the Apple ecosystem and are just heavy iPhone users, have had every generation of iPhone that has come out, this is actually going to be appealing to them. Sure, for those people on Virgin Mobile that have Android devices, they're going to be upset because, Android is being pushed out of the way from Virgin Mobile. But it's not to say that you're being pushed out of the way, you're being exiled, and you have nothing. Because you actually do. You have the sister company of Virgin Mobile, which is Boost Mobile. I did get a question from one of my followers that was wanting to know if Virgin Mobile customers are actually going to be migrated over to Boost Mobile. And that's a possibility. That is a possibility. But now, Boost Mobile not having any taxes and fees included is a major shift, in the corner of Sprint. It's a major shift. But how does this play for Sprint? Well, right now it's actually going to work against Sprint, and I'll tell you guys why. The reason it's going to work against Sprint is because, like I said, I deal with Sprint customers day in and day out. So from opening shift to the close of the night when we, shut down for the day. And I can tell you guys that if you guys think because of Sprint's bad rep that I'm getting majority calls of cancellations because they hate the service, I will really shock you guys right now that only 5.7% of my customers who talk to me are canceling because they hate the service. But I will tell you a large portion of it has to do with customer service. But the in-between those two reasons of Sprint customers leaving comes down, which is a little bit under half, comes down to being that they are tired of paying taxes and fees. They are tired of switching price plans and then being quoted before the taxes, because that is majority of the time why they get frustrated, upset, and then they want to leave Sprint. They'll go and they'll be like, okay, my bill is too high for 3 phones that I have. I want to pay less, or I'm going to leave. And so we tend to dive in there and try to find a price plan that would fit the customer's needs, bring their balance down of what they're paying per month, and just kind of help them save money. But the problem with that is like we're trying to show that we're competitive and that we have reasonable plans at a valued price, but then there's people who I'm assuming are afraid to tell the customer about taxes and surcharges, because one of the things that customers will use against Sprint employees is they'll say, if you can't bring my bill down, I can go to T-Mobile and get 4 lines for $40 each line, and then my monthly charges for my phones on top of that, and pay less than what I'm paying with Sprint because they don't have taxes. Because the average consumer out there automatically assumes that no taxes and fees means absolutely lower bill, even though you could probably go to T-Mobile's website, go with what they were being offered, and then match it up against a plan that Sprint has, which will come out to be cheaper. It doesn't matter if it's going to be cheaper, because the customer's not really saying that they want a cheaper bill. They just don't want to pay taxes and fees. I can tell you guys without dropping names that I even had customers who actually told me that they refused to pay the taxes on it, and that I had to literally explain to them that taxes and fees is not a Sprint thing. It's not something that Sprint gets, okay? It's your local, state, and your government that's charging you these taxes and fees. But they don't get it. They don't care. All they do is they pay Sprint. So in their mind, they naturally assume that Sprint is collecting all this money, and it's we got a pot of taxes and fees that we collected off you guys that's going into our pockets. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. But that's how consumers see it. So when you have a plan that says no taxes and fees, that literally states to them that the brand or the company is not collecting any more money than just $50. And so to me, that's where it's going to hurt Sprint, because customers will be like, well, I like Sprint service, but my bill is still too high with you guys. I'm going to go and leave you guys for Boost Mobile, because Boost Mobile now has no taxes and fees and they work on the Sprint network. So it's going to churn rate from customers leaving Sprint postpaid to Boost Mobile prepaid. So that's one thing that is going to be kind of like a backward suicidal shot from Sprint. Not saying that Sprint should get rid of this, but I'm assuming and hoping that this is a test phase. That maybe Sprint is like, hey, let's use our prepaid companies like guinea pigs. Let's do these different things and let's see how it functions, see how it works, see if customers are happy. And if so, we'll implement them into Sprint. So I'm thinking the Inner Circle thing, maybe not, because Sprint already has the iPhone Forever plan, basically on their Sprint Flex program, which is a lease program. It's a hybrid lease installment billing program. So there's not leasing and installment billing. They're all put together. But if you have an iPhone, it's automatically included in it, the iPhone Forever. You can upgrade after 12 months, 12 successful payments, you can upgrade to the latest iPhone. So the Inner Circle thing really has nothing to do with that. But I'm hoping that the no taxes and fees on Boost Mobile, if it shows to be positive, that this may be something that they'll bring to Sprint. Because this is one of the things that will probably slow down the churn rate for Sprint. This is one of those things that it's like, if you were to include taxes and fees in your plans, you have a greater chance of saving your customers, because that's what they want to hear. You can break it down and be like, taxes and fees are included in T-Mobile's plans. They're just included in the what they call flat rate. But that doesn't, the average consumer doesn't care for the rundown. They just want that to be said and to be honored. No taxes and fees, because it's already included in the plan. That's what they want. And that, yes, that will slow down some of the churn rate for Sprint. I mean, at the end of the day, to be honest with a lot of people, Sprint does have the cheapest compared to all 4 competitors. No question in doubt. Okay, the unlimited freedom plan is hands down cheaper than anything out there. But that's not what brings a customer's bill really, really, really high. What brings their bill really high is the device that they choose, which, you know, in customer service, you don't want to turn around and point the finger back at a customer and say, well, the reason why your bill is so high is because you opted to get a friggin' iPhone 7 or an iPhone 8 and throw it back at them and like it's their fault that their bill's so high. But technically, that is the reality of it. Your bill is absolutely high because you chose a very expensive phone to lease. Duh, if it's not in your budget, don't lease it, which I'll save for a different rant video later on down the road. We'll go more into that. But that, my friends, is why Boost Mobile did the no taxes and fees. That is the reason that they had to do it. They had to do it to remain competitive. They just had to. But hopefully, this is a also test phase for Sprint to possibly take it into consideration to do the same with their unlimited freedom plan and go ahead and do the no taxes and fees. So, that's it for my weekend rant. Because we got lasagna cooking. I got my favorite drink right here, which I've been staring at from time to time because I want to drink it, and my kids are acting up right now. Refreshing. So I'm going to heli my out of here. So if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like. First time checking out this video, hit that subscribe and notification button. If you're on VidMe, give me a follow. Appreciate that, since this video is going up on both platforms. And until then, guys, if you're wanting to know how I shot this video, I am using the Moto E4's cameras to shoot this video, so you guys can also let me know how the quality of the video is. I'm not going to edit this at all whatsoever, so I'm just going to throw it up as it is. So thanks for watching this video. I'm Tito, and I'm out.